Okay, welcome everybody to our Monday team call. We are so excited to see all of you. There's a lot of new faces here today, so welcome. Welcome. We'll give you a chance towards the end of the call if you have anything you want to share or if you have questions. Francis, we've got Betsy lined up to give a testimonial. Shall we start with Betsy?
Well, sure, that would be great. I met a lady in the last couple of weeks who is just a fireball. I'm expecting huge things from her. She was brought in by my long-term, I'm not going to say old, long-term friend,
Hello.
Carol
Hi.
DeFrancisco. Hi, buddy.
Welcome.
Hi.
Can you put yourself on mute? We're in the middle of the call now.
Oh, okay.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, here we are. So Betsy I met very recently in the last couple of weeks, right, Betsy?
Yes.
Yeah. And I expect some big things from her. She and Carol DeFrancisco live near each other, and they've worked together before, and they're really good friends. And just wanted to welcome Betsy to a 90-second testimonial. So go to town, girl.
Okay, 90 seconds. Thank you, Francis. Okay, I started X39. I'm on day 23. And I have had some issues with swollen knees because of my job and other pains in my back. Okay, so the first 2 days I noticed this amazing, beautiful, sustained energy and mood that thrilled me to pieces, and I was able to get things done that I normally would not get done. So it made me feel very motivated. Sleep has been phenomenal. My knee swelling was gone within 2 days. It has not returned. My pain level went from 10 to a 2, and this last week it's just been 0. I mean, it's gone. My back pain, it took a little bit longer between the shoulders and my lower back, but that has also disappeared. My fingernails have gotten stronger and healthier. They're not chipping. I did detox. I lost 3 pounds. And I can't say enough. I'm excited about X39. I'm excited to share it, and I'm excited to work with these awesome people.
Betsy,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. You're amazing. This is Betsy Anderson. Expect to see her on some of the leadership lists and stuff like that in the near future. I want to thank Carol DeFrancisco for introducing us. Carol DeFrancisco is on her way up to high ranks herself. It's very exciting to be working with these people. Really exciting. And I want to thank everybody, really, for whatever your participation is. From the deepest part of my heart, I want to thank you. The team continues to grow, and I'm so grateful. I really am. I want to talk to you a little bit about disruption. A lot of people think disruption and manipulation are bad words, and they're really not. Your chiropractor manipulates your spine. Your mother and father manipulate you into doing the right thing at the right time. Manipulate means to move. Moving the vertebrae, moving the person in the right direction. We get a bad taste of that word because people will manipulate other people or situations for their own gain. That's not the kind of manipulation we're talking about. And as far as disruption, when a baby's crying and the mother picks it up, she's disrupting the crying. She's disrupting the child's fear and pain. And so we're what I call benevolent disruptors. You can reach people when they're ready, and you can help them find peace by learning about the X39. The X39 patch has a remarkable impact on the body. You just heard from Betsy Anderson. The X39 patch also, if we know that many, many people can benefit from it, why wouldn't we why wouldn't we go out and share this with everybody? Why wouldn't we share this with people's pets? You know, with people's children. It's non-toxic, it's non-invasive, and yet it does disrupt, you know, problems in the body, like pain. So that's been my experience anyway, and obviously Betsy's and many of you on the call. So all I can say is be a benevolent disruptor. Call people and let people know what you know about the X39. You don't have to be an expert. All you got to do is ask them permission. Would you like a video, or would you like an audio on your phone, or would you like it on your email? Ask them. Just be, you know, humble and be respectful of their time, energy, and space. That's all. And I think you're going to get the energetics of that when Sheva comes on. I can't wait to talk to her. I had a 2-hour talk with her a couple of weeks ago, and if you know her background, and Katrina's going to give you Sheva's background before she comes on, she's a remarkable person, as well as being a doctor of acupuncture. And she founds a lot of remarkable things and helps direct people. She interrupts people's pain. She interrupts people's, you know, lack of love, and she helps people love themselves, and she helps people through their pain. And I'm just so grateful to know her. So Katrina, you'll let us know when Sheva's on, right?
Yeah, I don't see her yet, but when she comes on, we'll know it. And
okay,
we'll
that's super. It's super.
So
I just don't want to.
She said she'd be here in about at a quarter after, so we still have about 8 minutes. So, Francis,
Okay.
talking about disrupting, interrupting, and how we want to avoid that at all costs in a lot of ways, especially people like me who like to keep the peace and not interrupt. Although you know that I always interrupt people. But anyway, so can you give us kind of a scenario where in your normal day-to-day activity, how do you do that and not, how do you do it in a way that's fun and has them engaged and have them wanting what you have? Let me mute, John. Thanks for doing that.
That's great. You know, Katrina, that's a really good question. For the people that know me out there, I'll interrupt with a joke. I'll interrupt with a testimonial. I'll interrupt with a fact. And the job of the benevolent disruptor is somebody who's going to share some information that's going to break the pattern of pain or sadness or whatever. Because we're in tough times now. I don't have to tell you. Thank goodness for these riots, because it stopped the virus right in its tracks, didn't it? I guess many folks are not trusting the government right now. Many folks are not trusting lots of stuff. And trust is a generating energy. If you don't trust something or someone, you can't move forward. You know, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust the floor, you can't walk on it, because you don't know when it's going to fall through. So right now we're in a very dark place in history where lots and lots of stuff are going on behind the scenes, and we don't know what they are, but we can feel it. So to answer your question, I disrupt people by bringing in some joy into their life. And you and I have been friends for, 26 years now, Katrina. You, me, and John have been friends for 26 years. Kathy and Richard are on the call, are dear and precious brother and sister, close friends, and I've known them for, a decade and a half. And, Carol D. Francisco has got you all beat. She's over 30 years. So there's a lot of people on the call that we've known each other for a long time. Now, Katrina, did you just get that email from Sheva?
Just now, this minute?
She just sent an email, so I think she should be on any second.
Okay.
We're all chomping on the bit because we all love Sheva, and you'll see why, guys. She's She's one of those people in your life that you just see as a real gem. You know, you have lots of rocks in your life, but there's very few gems in those rocks. She's one of them. So she should be on in a second here.
Yeah, she teaches until quarter after, so she'll be on time. Okay, great.
Have I answered your question? Do you need any more specifics, Katrina?
Well, that was good. So in the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of momentum. A lot of new people are here today.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to spend the majority of the time having Sheva talk to us about building a business from the heart. But what kind of guidance can you give to somebody who just joined and needs to get up and running and wants to learn everything all at once, cram their brain full of all the science? But what would you suggest they do?
Well, the first thing I would do is, why am I doing this business? Let me define that. Why am I doing it? I have purpose behind this. You know, life is about being purpose-driven. Otherwise, you're a zombie. You wake up in the morning, you do the same thing every day. On the weekends, you do the same thing. You know, that's one thing I love about you and John. You're very unpredictable. One day you'll be building a website. The next day you'll be driving to Atlanta in your car, you know? And the only thing that's predictable about you is Indian food. The only thing that's predictable.
That's true.
So I think that's a great way to disrupt also. And disrupt sounds like a very violent, horrible word, but it's not. What you're doing is you're breaking a pattern. You're helping somebody break a pattern. You're helping somebody disrupt their life in a good way, in a positive way. And so I love that I'm a benevolent disruptor, because sometimes I might be just out at a store and see somebody who's frowning, and I'll walk over and say, "Hello, sunshine, how are you?" I'm disrupting their frown, you know? Or, you know, somebody's trying to get in their car. They're trying to get out, and I'll stop, and I'll let them go into the line, and I'll wave to them. I'm disrupting their idea that people are selfish and won't let her in or let him in. So, you know, disruption is a very good thing. It happens all day. You know, like you have regeneration and degeneration. People say, "Oh, that's bad. Degeneration." No, it's not, because it's how you throw the garbage out of your body. Apoptosis, I think is how you pronounce it. It's called cell death. When negative cells die, you want them out, and then you want to regenerate and create new cells. And that's the same thing about life. You know, sometimes you outgrow people, and you don't want to, but it's just the way it is. And you lose touch. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you're in a new place. You're in a different place. And you've got to allow them to stay where they are if that's what they choose. So if they choose to stay in an old place because they're comfortable in it, they're really not, to tell you the truth, but they just don't, they're just too afraid to see, you know, to see a new future. That's, by the way, that's one of the greatest things to do to disrupt, is start to help people find a new future. When they actually see, and they don't have to actually physically see it, but if they just feel it, if they feel what it's going to be like in the future, you know, in all positive ways, that's going to be, you know, a remarkable thing for them. You're disrupting an old, scary, dark future with a potentially light, wide, deep, beautiful future. So that's why I say be the benevolent disruptor.
So Francis, would you mind taking a minute? Sheva has joined, but would you mind taking just 90 seconds yourself to say, what's the difference from a year ago when you had cardiac surgery and where you are now due to X39?
Well, I knew the difference within the first 3 days, Katrina, when this well-known person turned me on to this product. You know, this lady already had some credibility from a past experience. And I decided to listen to her, and she was very helpful. My first 6 months in the business, she was amazing. And then, you know, like I said, things change sometimes, and that's okay. You can let things change. But what I recognized was my pain was leaving, and I had, how many surgeries did I have? I had one really major one, which I almost didn't recover from, which is a double bypass surgery that had some complications. Then I had gallbladder surgery, and then I had cataract surgery. But I did notice quickly I could sleep really deeply. There was a peaceful feeling. There was an optimistic feeling. And I know a lot of you guys who may have had some depression in the past, a lot of your depression's lifting. I know a lot of your anxiety's lifting. I know you're sleeping better. I know that, you know, your pain is just melting away. And the X39 has an incredible impact on all these things and more, because we don't even know what else it's doing, because it works with the wisdom of your body. Your body knows what it needs. Your body knows how to heal itself when you give it what it needs. And similar to when you go out in the sun and you receive vitamin D3 through your skin, through the X39 patch, it's triggering and activating and creating stem cells. And that's really exciting. That's really exciting. So that's my story, and I'm going to stick to that, Katrina.
That's a good one, Francis. I always love when you tell it. So I wanted
Thank
you to
Thank you
tell
very
it
much.
today, because we have Sheva on and we have some other new people. So welcome, Sheva. I haven't met you in person yet, but I'm very happy to meet you today.
Thank you so much.
You have such a
Likewise.
wonderful history with.
Oh, look at that beautiful lady. My God.
Yeah.
That light just comes right through the Zoom call. Wow.
Oh, that's because I got my X39 on.
All right.
Good answer. Hey, Katrina, do you want to introduce Sheva?
Yeah, for those of you who didn't get a chance to see the invitation but came to the meeting anyway, Sheva is a doctor of acupuncture, and she has founded many, many companies, the latest being Heart Ambassadors. And it sounds like, although I don't know much about HeartMath, I'm hoping we're going to learn about it today. This is about building business, living your life from the heart. And so, Sheva, I think I'm going to turn it over to you, the expert.
Oh, thank you. So nice to be here. And so
Can
good
I
to
say a
meet
couple of things about you, Sheva, with that beautiful smile? Can I say a few things about you?
you. Of course.
I've known Sheva, I guess we were 2 or 3 years old when we met 25 years ago, right? Maybe we were a little older. Well, you know, I've known Sheva for many years. I've been around her for many years, not recently, but there's something different about this lady. When you're around her, your stuff just falls away. She's one of those kind of people that vibrates at such a high level that people just feel safe and feel loved by her. And she's just amazing. I'm just so proud to call her a friend. So, Sheva, you know, I thought we would bring you on this call because I think a lot of people are afraid about selling and about getting a message across. And HeartMath is so effective in that, and how to get a message across from the heart. Maybe you can share, maybe give us some exercises and all that, since you are really the expert. So.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you for your incredibly kind words. Uh-oh. Did I freeze?
That's okay.
My internet is a little unstable. I'm here in the redwood forest. So.
Wow. Amazing.
I think what I'd actually love to do, because you just described some core values actually that I hold really dear in terms of people feeling safe around me, people feeling loved. I think many of us would share those values. I see some folks who I can see on camera nodding. So I'd love to use that as a diving board. And do I have permission to share my screen? I'd love to use the Zoom whiteboard if I could.
Sure.
That would be great. I think Katharina's sorting it out to give me permission. If
Yeah,
not, I can.
You should be able to now. I've got it set for multiple people, so.
Perfect. That's great. Let's see. It doesn't look like this one has a whiteboard. So what I'll do instead is share a graphic image. Sometimes it's more fun to draw it.
Okay, I've made you the host, so you should be able to.
Okay, cool. Let's give it a shot. We'll try. If not, yeah, it's still not giving me a whiteboard option. That's not a problem. I will use PowerPoint instead. I just don't want to bore folks with PowerPoint.
We can see your screen now.
Perfect. So if you had to pick which one of these lines would represent the feeling, let me just ask you first, Francis, that you just described, that feeling of being safe and unconditionally loved and not judged and accepted, and kind of having the heavy backpack of life's burdens lifted off you in the presence of someone that cares about you. The top or the bottom?
Sheva, I don't see very well, so is the bottom the right answer?
You're getting confirmation from your fellow colleagues that the bottom is the right answer. There's not really a right or wrong answer, but yes, that is how most people would look when, and we'll get to why I say look, when they're feeling safe or loved or accepted or cared for. And someone else maybe could unmute and tell me which of these lines represents how you feel when back in the days before COVID, you were in a retail shop where the salesperson made commissions and they were on you the moment you walked in the door and in constant pursuit trying to get you to buy something, or being on that used car lot where you thought you were just looking, but there was heavy pressure selling going on. Which of those lines represents how you feel under that circumstance, top or bottom? Or you could also put it in the chat.
My guess is the top. It's because it looks very erratic, and it looks like you're probably feeling pretty uncomfortable. Because for me, I don't like to be pushed or cajoled or really sold to. I like to be, connected with, and I like information.
Beautiful.
And so.
Well, it turns out there's physiology that explains the difference between caring connection and heavy pressure selling. And that physiology is something each of us can take charge of inside ourselves. So what are these a picture of? Anybody know?
Nobody's answering over here.
This is where we need game show music.
Oh, Carol. Yeah. Heartwave pattern. Very good, Carol.
You are right, Carol. This is a picture of changing heart rhythms. So the top line is actually representative of what happens to our heart rhythm when our bodies go into a survival mode, a fight or flight response. The bottom line, which is also called a heart coherent line because it creates this coherent sign pattern or sine curve in the heart's rhythm, is what happens to the heart's rhythm when we feel renewing feelings like care or compassion or appreciation or peace or love. So it turns out that emotions and hearts are not just something Shakespeare wrote about in his sonnets or Hallmark uses to leverage selling us heart-shaped boxes of chocolate on Valentine's Day. HeartMath actually published a study in the American Journal of Cardiology in 1995 that connected emotion and heart rhythms. And when we are chaotic inside emotionally, It's produced by and reinforcing a chaotic heart rhythm pattern. And the heart, if you could imagine this analogy, is like the conductor of the orchestration of over 1,400 things in our physiology. So when we go into survival mode, it's sort of like the conductor of our orchestra has Tourette syndrome. Nothing's working in sync. We don't feel good, which is why pressure selling doesn't feel good to the buyer or the seller, because it's coming from what I call prey-predator selling. When we're pressuring someone to buy something, usually it's our own survival that we're preoccupied with. We're wanting to make that sale so that we can put dinner on our table or pay our rent. It's about us, it's not about the other person. And the other person feels that. So we're like a tiger in a jungle, only instead of eating you, we're trying to get you to buy something so we can eat, but it has the same physiology. It feels bad. And it makes people want to run the other way because it's prey-predator selling is what I call it. But precisely what you just said, Francis, there's a whole other way that we can exchange value. And that comes with connecting and caring from the heart. And that has this unconditional loving quality that's not attached to the outcome. So I do these things for my Heart Ambassador program, which is a subscription service called free consultations. And in those free consultations, to get to this bottom heart rhythm pattern with me and the other person, and by the way, 2 hearts that beat as one is more than a poetic song lyric. It's actually a scientific fact. And it crosses species. If we have time a little later, I'll pull up a graph of a boy and his dog where you can see when the boy is loving the dog, the hearts get in sync. They get in rhythm with each other. But it happens with dolphins and humans. It happens with horses and their riders. And it happens with humans and humans. That's what we want when we're in a business like LifeWave. Because, and how beautiful that it's LifeWave when it's a heart wave we want to connect on. That is a wave of life. So each interaction gets to be a life-giving interaction, whether a person buys something or not. And that renewal throughout our system, hormonally, immunologically, just 5 minutes of appreciating another person, by the way, boosts immunity for 6 hours afterward. So we have an inner life wave, in addition to the patch on the back of my neck right now, we have an inner life wave that can work in concert with us so that the very values of the LifeWave business can be embodied in how we educate people about the business. And the way we do that, we'll practice it, and then for sure I want to take questions. But this is so simple, this shift in physiology from a prey-predator software program that's outdated to this human caring and connecting that it can happen literally in a heartbeat. This graph that you're looking at on the screen is one trace, meaning it's the same person sitting, it's just the PowerPoint slide isn't long enough to see the whole thing side by side. Literally, they were the first 200 seconds of the trace was them being asked simply to remember a moment that was frustrating them. So it's not even being frustrated, it's remembering it. The physiology can't tell the difference. That created that chaos in the heart rhythm. And then they were asked to do what we're going to do together right now, which is to shift attention to the area around the heart. If you find it helpful, you can put your hand there. If you find it weird to focus attention in the heart, just wiggle your index finger, your left index finger. And now open and close your eyes. And notice that to do that, you have to put your attention there. So any body part we give attention to receives more life force energy, more flow, more blood flow, more innervation temporarily. So what we're doing here, we can't wiggle our hearts that I know of anyway. But we're going to put our attention there. And with the focus of attention in the heart, we're going to imagine the breath is flowing in through the heart and out through the heart. If you find it helpful, you could count to 5 as you breathe in. You could count to 5 as you breathe out. And with that heart-focused breathing, if you have something you're grateful for right now, I just want to invite you to breathe that feeling of appreciation in through the heart and out through the heart. And if gratitude is out of reach, surely given the state of the world, you could find something right now to send your compassion to. And to breathe that compassionate caring in through the heart. And out through the heart. As you do that, do you feel inside more like the top line on the screen or the bottom? You could type it in the chat. I also invite you to notice as you're breathing this feeling in through the heart and out through the heart. What's happening in your body, your emotions, your thought process? Carol says, wondrous bottom fluid line. Everyone's saying the bottom. Do you feel calming, peaceful? Do you feel more life force energy, more vitality, or do you feel more depleted doing this exercise?
More energy.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing. These heart rhythms are electrical in nature. That's what makes an EKG work. The heart's electrical. And everything that's electrical, whether it's this cell phone or the computers we're on or our hearts, produces an electromagnetic field. So the heart's electromagnetic fields looks something like this. That field, by crude instrumentation, is measured 3 feet away from the body, but by anecdotal data, we know it travels much, much further. So when you get coherent in your heart, it's actually broadcasting a field that facilitates the coherence of others. And that coherence is really important when we're in this kind of X39 business, because it opens up the higher centers of the brain that have self and situational awareness and also make decisions. If this looks like too much science, this explains it very well. The unhappy baby is squeezing his brain shut, or her brain. I don't know what the gender of this baby is. But the content baby is literally producing physiologically what we would see in an MRI as cortical facilitation, or what we like to call just hanging out as an open mind. And when we're educating people about a new product, especially a product that is unusual for folks who aren't accustomed to the conversation about energy medicine, they need their higher cortex and their heart open.
And do this. Where's your phone?
The possibilities, right? So when we come from a place of genuine care without self-concern or agenda for outcome, we create that safe, open space that Francis mentioned earlier, where people can literally take in new information, learn new things, and make decisions that are right for them. All of that is crucial to our capacity to be heart connected and educators instead of predators that are trying to sell something. And here's how it works. So I mentioned earlier, I do these free consults for my Heart Ambassador program, and it's one of my favorite things to do because I get to be in this heart space that we just created together. I have no agenda. I don't want anything from the other person. I come only wanting the very highest best for that person in their life. And I reserve judgment about knowing what that is. I trust that if I can help them find their heart, they'll know what it is. Their own guidance system will come online. And so I'm just holding a heart space for that. And what's interesting is sometimes when I do these free consults, what's right for that person is to join my Heart Ambassador program or purchase an X39 set or something like that. But sometimes it's not that at all. I don't care. I'm there honestly to support them unconditionally and educate them. The Chinese character for healer is exactly the same as the Chinese character for educator. So we're just there to connect and love and nurture and educate. And what invariably happens when I am truly hitting that note of authentic, pure caring without personal agenda or goal is even if that person doesn't purchase something directly from me, a month later, I get a phone call from them saying, you know, that program isn't right for me, but I want to introduce you to this friend or this business that could really use what you're up to. They start becoming advocates because, as Fran said, that it feels so good to receive unconditional care. We want to champion that in the world because every heart is made to operate on it. So that's a little bit of science and a little bit of how this works. I don't want to monopolize the whole time. Francis?
Oh my gosh, Sheva, that was fantastic. I mean, I felt better after hearing you for a little while. Just to your point, the other day I sent a sleeve of product to my friend Jordan, who has a very, very bad infection in his leg where they almost had to amputate it. And he's getting better. I've been sending him some energy. But he got him, and his doctor said, I got to take these. So he went and took them, and he called back, and he said, well, Jordan, how do I get more of this? So Jordan said, well, make sure I get signed up first before the doctor gets signed up. And he's a very prominent fellow. He happens to be a chiropractor as well as a naturopath in California here. But yeah, I mean, we can't control things. We just can't. It's a fruitless thing. Controlling things is a fruitless thing. So.
Well, you just brought up such a great point, Francis, because you said you're sending him energy. And I think this is the beauty of a business like Lifewave, is when the patches, we don't have to stop there. We can also send heart with it.
Yeah.
So if you radiate your love and your care to the person who's using the patches, I guarantee you it can improve the efficacy. And I do have a patch story because I only started using them myself a couple of weeks ago, first giving them to other people. But I was born with a birth anomaly in my pelvis and had to have both my hips and upper legs reconstructed July 23rd of last year. So I am...
That's a pretty auspicious day, isn't it?
Yes, it was. Heather pointed that out, Francis. We knew the surgery was going to go well when it got set on that date. And it did go well. It's a miracle. I can do the splits. I can run. I can dance. I was on crutches for the last 5 years.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
But certainly having that imbalance and the anomalies in my skeletal system for so many years had affected other joints. And I was a dancer when I was young. I broke my ankle when I was 16. And then the last couple of months, my left ankle, where it was broken, has really been bothering me, which got me a bit afraid. I was working with my own HeartMath skills about it, because ankle replacements are what they are. And having just gone through a major surgery, I wasn't wanting to do another one, but I just had kind of resigned myself. Well, you know, having this pelvic imbalance for so long, I probably ruined my left ankle with the injury and then all that, and I'll probably just have to get it replaced. And I tried the X39, and for the last 3 days, my ankle has been good as new. So
we hear that story a lot, Sheva. We hear that knees and ankles and elbows. We hear that a lot. Shoulders.
Oh my!
We are really fortunate. But you know, I think when we had our long conversation, which was wonderful as usual, I told you that, you know, what my vision was really about, bringing a lot of healers on the team. And so, as you're talking right now, there's a bunch of map makers on this call. You know what I mean? And that's mostly what my business is. It's mostly healers. It's not many marketers. You know, it's mostly just healers. And before you got on the call, I talked about disrupting, and healers will disrupt a problem. You know, they'll disrupt, you know, pain. They'll disrupt, you know, whatever malady there is. That's what their job is. And wow, you know, I don't want to take any of your time. I'd love to have a bunch of people ask you questions, Sheva, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. And I just want to acknowledge what you said, that you're putting together a team of healers. And I feel like then it emphasizes even more, it's not just the X39 you're giving healing. And so you can send heart to the folks that are, you know, purchasing product from you or representing your business every day. And the patches, from what I understand, I'm still learning more, but as an acupuncturist, I understand a lot about the energy anatomy of the body and how the patches are potentizing that. So the heart can enhance that potentization. And this tool that you all learned is called Quick Coherence from HeartMath. And I can get Francis a copy of a tool card. But it's the one tool at HeartMath that we encourage everyone to use open source. So when you give people the patches, you could also teach them Quick Coherence, so that you teach them how to breathe appreciation for the benefit of the patch. And that appreciation, the word appreciation, means increase in value. When they broadcast appreciation for the benefits of the patch as they breathe through the heart, it actually makes it more efficacious. That's more than just a, you know, a placebo. It's measurable in terms of hormonal changes and immunologic changes and blood circulation changes. So if people learn how to breathe gratitude through their heart for the benefits they're receiving, they get more benefits. And that's something you can be an emissary of.
Sheva, that's beautiful, and I agree with that. Can you leave your a website now, and then we'll take some questions, and then we'll and then at the end give the website again, because some people don't have pens and papers in front of them. Oh, okay. So you've already texted it. Great, excellent. What took you so long? What was that? Half a second? Okay, so Katrina, let's open up the lines to see who wants to ask Sheva a question.
Okay, I think whoever would like to speak first, you'll need to unmute yourself. And thank you, Sheva, for a wonderful presentation. That really did touch me. And I feel my heart is much more open as a result. I could feel the stress just leaving in the gentle breathing. So thank you.
Thank you, Katharina. Yeah, and thank HeartMath. They're the ones that have spent 35 years creating these tools and doing, by the way, hundreds of peer-reviewed evidence-based research on this simple process that a child can learn.
Wonderful. So who's our
Who's our first person? Who wants to ask the
Steve,
first question?
You want to begin, Steve? Go ahead. You'll have to unmute.
Okay, am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay, all right. Sheva, a great presentation. Good timing. Just this morning on CNN, they had an interesting article, and this is documented with very careful research, that over time, people who are negative and have all of the critical and negative thoughts in their lives, they are more inclined, and this is documented, at an older age to develop dementia. And I thought, oh my God, I got to share this with the group today. This is just this morning on CNN. Phenomenal research on showing how emotions can be adverse. Of course, we can learn from adversity as well as positive things, but this just came out. This is very well documented that over time, people who tend to view things and critical things in the negative point of view, over time develop those toxins in the brain that quite often do lead to dementia. So I thought that's a good negative example. Obviously, you're a good example of positive examples, but I thought you might like to know that on today's news.
Well, you could ask my husband or my mom. We all have all of it, and we teach what we must need to learn. But yes, and the good news is there's negative emotions, which we prefer to call depleting at HeartMath rather than negative, become like a lot of compost. Mm-hmm. It's energy. So if you're a person who has a lot of intense emotionality, don't worry about it. It's just, you got a big compost pile. It means you can have a big garden if you know how to sow the right seeds in it. And this link, by the way, between depleting emotional affect and dementia, Alzheimer's, has been well linked for quite a long time. One of the mitigating factors of it is hormonal. So when we're upset, like that unhappy baby, you see I have very well developed muscles here. So before you go putting me on a pedestal, just know I work at this. But then we're releasing cortisol in the system. Cortisol is not inherently a bad guy. We need it to get out of bed in the morning. But we're not supposed to take a bath in it all day long. That's where it gets us into trouble. And high cortisol over a long period of time depletes something called DHEA, which is a renewing hormone or resilience hormone. My imagination is, and I'd be curious to do some research with the LifeWave company when the time rolls around, my imagination is the X39 patches probably enhance DHEA. So DHEA is resilience-based hormone that helps renew all of the body's systems. So when you're talking about stem cell ignition, DHEA is often involved in that. And high cortisol and DHEA eat out of the same refrigerator. They have the same mama cooking the meals. So if cortisol is eating all the food, DHEA diminishes. And that refrigerator, metaphorically, is called pregnenolone. That's the precursor for those. And so high levels of stress hormone over a long period of time reduce resilience hormone and lead to a predilection for all different kinds of diseases, including diabetes, cancer, HIV exposure turning to AIDS syndrome, and of course, as you pointed out, Alzheimer's and dementia. And the good news is they did a study at HeartMath in the early days on people practicing the tool you just learned for 4 to 6 weeks. Their DHEA increased by 23% and their cortisol went down by 100%.
Wow.
With no other interventions. So the lab that was doing the testing for us called and said, "What are you giving these people? We've never seen anything like this. We want to take it." And we had to say, no, we're not giving them anything. It's self-regulation. And that's really good news for Olympic athletes because they can't take oral DHEA. It's considered a performance-enhancing drug, but they can self-regulate. So this is where, as a distributor, and by that I mean a true ambassador of X39 patches and the other LifeWave products, when you give people heart with it, you truly can increase and improve the efficacy of it. And that just improves everything about your business, but especially what we're in it for, which is to make people's lives better.
That's beautiful. That is amazing. Self-regulating is kind of a way to say creating your own reality, isn't it?
It's definitely a contributing factor to it. The equation, so HeartMath now has biofeedback technology that's patented with algorithms and all this stuff. But the original reason HeartMath was called HeartMath was this equation I'll put in the chat, which is events plus our perception of events plus our response to what we perceive equals the outcome. There it is in the chat. So we can't always change life events. And that's a result of co-creation.
Right.
And sometimes happens more by what we unconsciously allow than what we deliberately create. So we can't always change events. But we can self-regulate how we perceive events and respond to them. And that, as the law of math goes, what changes on this side of the equation has to change this side. So through that, we create our own reality by changing outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We probably have some more comments. We got any comments? Do we have any questions? You won't be able to reach Sheva that often, so it's nice that if you can, talk to her for a couple of minutes.
I'm not that big a deal that I'm not inaccessible, Francis.
Oh, you're remarkably successful. You can reach Sheva. Your humility is overshadowing your success because it's a big one, and you do everything with so much grace and so much love, and it's you're just such a great example of new paradigm leadership.
Thank you. That is my heart's desire, Francis. Thank you for seeing me. So,
Carol, go ahead.
Hey there. Oh, that was so beautiful, Sheva. Thank you. You know what? One of the things that I've been teaching for a bunch of years is when we're talking to somebody, I always offer a yes hand and a no hand. And I want them to feel safe, comfortable, and I want to honor where they are for them to make the decision that is absolutely right for them. And whatever that is, what's right for them is absolutely right in my heart for them and for me. And because it's honoring the relationship, it actually lifts it to a higher level. And whatever comes from that is healthy and healing and good for everyone. And who knows? That's the theme song of my business. Who knows? It's when people feel that place of calm and loved and cared for, that you're sharing something that moves your heart and soul, and and that they feel completely loved to make their own decision. Who knows?
I love it, Carolyn. I had chills and warmth at the same time go through my whole system when you said honoring the relationship. That's at the heart of it all. Because it's in the worlds of a heart-based worlds, it's the relationship that's the true capital, not the money. And if we could arrive at that, it would change so many of the causes of suffering in our world. So in that, then in our own businesses, we get to be true ambassadors of a new world, of a new value system. And Carol, not to coach you or anything, but I would offer you a possibility that in addition to the yes and the no hand, you could have the wild card heart. Because what I experience in these interactions with people is half the time HeartMath or LifeWave or I just built all these tower gardens that we're representing now and growing vegetables for the first time on our deck and all this stuff. Like, these are kind of the place settings for the diamond of relationship to sit in. And it's, and sometimes I think I'm on a call to talk to somebody about HeartMath, and it turns out that they have a destiny to be the executive director of a UN Peace Messenger organization I was working with that was looking for someone. Like, it's just the wild card of the heart surprises us all, and it makes every day a new adventure.
Totally agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, any other,
Yes, we've got Epic Dave. Dave, could you unmute yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave from California. I'd like to know, I know that you probably know a lot of miracle stories. Like, what has been the ones that you were like really shocked with, the massive changes, and how quick do they come about? If you could.
And Dave, are you asking specifically about LifeWave or about anything?
You know what? I would really like to know about anything, but I was asking specifically about LifeWave. But I am definitely interested in any powerful modalities or you know, products or techniques that are like you would consider miraculous. I know there's not all products are created equal, and I know, you know, as a seeker myself, you got to go through maybe 20, 30 products that you got to junk before you find something that's truly amazing.
So regarding LifeWave, you heard my miracle story because I've only had the product for 2 weeks, but so I'll pass the baton to Francis and Katharina for that, but then I'm happy to share other miracles about the power of the heart for sure. Francis?
So
yeah,
actually,
that might be, if you know, Sheva, if you want to do one of those short stories, that'd be great. Dave is new. I'm not sure who Dave is, but, you know, Dave is, we're kind of like geared this around LifeWave, but, you know, it's so great to have Sheva here. I'd love to hear something from Sheva.
Well, there are many, because the heart, the heart has a brain, an intelligence of its own that's well researched now and opened a new field of research called neural cardiology. But because of its electromagnetic field nature, the heart also is powerful, which is where I think Dr. Martin Luther King's quote, "Love is the most powerful force in the universe," and also the most available force because anyone can access its power, comes from. But I
actually think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, Francis.
I was going to say, David Schmidt, who is our founder, says some very interesting things that you would enjoy hearing. When they ask about the X39 patch, he said, well, I didn't really invent it, I channeled it. You know, I did a meditation and it came into my mind like that. So this is one of the things that compels me and draws me to the company. Aside from the, you know, the wonderful, you know, lifestyle impact, and aside from the wonderful healing that comes from the patches, but to know that you have an owner who's also a developer, and he says stuff like that, doesn't take credit, but says it was a download. He literally says it was a download, and in front of 200 people. And that kind of stuff, I love hearing that kind of stuff. So it's really, really wonderful. And, you know, it was a good question, Dave. I would go on to HeartMath.com and check out some more of that stuff, because I'm sure there's dozens and dozens and dozens of stories of how HeartMath and Heart Mastery has changed people's lives. I have no doubt about it. You know, when I was allowed to post on Facebook, before they put me in Facebook prison, you know, I would put a lot of stuff on there about Facebook, and I'd have, you know, little videos of Sheva and Robert, her husband, on there. And I'm happy and proud to share HeartMath with people, because, you know, if I speak in a very frank and selfish way, it's going to help my business. You know, when people are reaching out from the heart, it's irresistible. and the right people will come into your business, and the right leaders will show up, because it's the wisdom of the heart. And that's really what Sheva's all about. As long as I've known her, she's been a real ambassador of heart mastery. She's a walking, talking billboard of heart mastery, HeartMath, and pure unconditional love. So if anybody else has any more questions for Sheva, please, hit it.
I have another.
You want to say something again?
I have another quick question I'd like to ask.
Please go
Yes,
ahead.
and Dave, I'm happy to send you, if you write to us at support@heartambassadors.com.
Okay, I will.
I actually have a book of miracle stories I can send you.
Beautiful. I'd like to ask a quick question, if it's okay. I want to know if I've heard of, like, there's this cactus called San Pedro or San Pedro, and they say that cactus, when you take it, I don't know, it has some type of effect on the heart. They say it's really heart opening. You know anything about that? And if you can take something to open your heart? Because I know some people, because they've lived kind of a tough life, and they've kind of hardened up and calloused, and it's just, that's who they know how to be, even though they don't want to be that. They just can't help it. Anything that could really help open that heart and make them normal again?
So here's the good news in my answer to that is you have everything you need inside you to heal trauma. What you're talking about really, Dave, is the effects of long-term trauma on our physiology. Mm-hmm. And when we pause to do that little exercise that we just did, it sends a signal up the vagus nerve and along 4 other communication pathways to the brain that bypass emotional memory and give a person a direct experience of what's here now without having to source their conditioning. This is really good news right now, guys, because this is the antidote to major trauma that we see going on right now in our country especially, but in the world overall. So things like racism, for example, are absolutely conditioned, learned behaviors. They're not intrinsic. And a coherent heart rhythm bypasses learned behavior and brings us right into the frontal and prefrontal lobes of direct perception of what actually is. It's kind of the closest thing to a physiological definition of enlightenment. So the heart, as we like to say at HeartMath, is never closed. It's the mind that closes. Mm. When we learn to create and self-regulate the heart rhythm pattern, so it's directing the mind, now you're cooking with fuel.
So I hope that answers your question, Dave. This is a great one-on-one with Sheva. This is amazing. If you have any questions about HeartMath, please, go to the website. One of the things I've been doing is I've been putting an X39 patch on my chest, right over my heart, since I'm a heart patient, and I believe I'm feeling some difference in it. So I would suggest if you try that, Dave, that would be really great.
Thanks, you guys, and thank you, Sheva.
Thank you, Dave. And Jay Carlson had put in, how do you handle objections? Are you able to unmute yourself, Jay?
Yes.
So can you be specific, just for clarity's sake, about what kind of objections you're concerned about?
Jay, are you there? Are you with us?
You muted again.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can type it, Jay. We can probably take another question or another comment until Jay gets through this, if anybody wants to.
Hi, Sheva. This is John. Hey, Sheva. When perhaps you could talk a little about, essentially where you know, as LifeWave representatives, we're part of their marketing arm. So, you know, we're bringing in those people, and we want to do that. I assume everybody wants to do that from a loving, heartfelt space, just like you and Carol have emphasized. Is there, so what would you recommend before we talk to a client? Is there a little preparation or something we can do to make sure to assist perhaps in getting into that space when we're talking with people, so that we truly have their best interests at heart?
Love it. Yeah. So that tool that we just did, which again, I'll make sure Francis has the tool card for all of you, called Quick Coherence, is exactly the tool I use. I'm breathing appreciation for that other person's heart before I even get on the phone with them or have the meeting with them. And I'm breathing a sense of reminding myself that it's their heart intelligence that knows what's right for them, not me that knows what's right for them. That I'm there to hold the space for them to hear themselves. And that's such a sacred interaction that it gives me so much energy to come from that unconditional caring that I don't really care if I make a sale or not, because I know when I'm vibrating in that frequency, all my needs get met so elegantly anyway. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, true.
So that is the preparatory attitude. And it really, it's an attitude of humility that I don't know what I don't know about their life. I don't know what's best for them, what's highest best for them, but I can be an influence that shows up in their day to help them hear that inside themselves amidst a world that's inundating them with inputs and demands. And that's such a breath of fresh air for people, to have someone actually holding space for them to hear themselves is such an unusual thing. So this, in a way, is an answer to Jay's question about these objections. I'm worried it costs or it's too expensive for my budget. If someone has financial objections to the services I'm offering, then we're not the right fit. So LifeWave costs what it costs. It's a fixed hard product. With some of my classes, I can put people on scholarships, and we have scholarship applications I can send them. So if your LifeWave business is successful enough, you might choose to tithe and, you know, give away 10% of your product. That's certainly something I've always integrated in my businesses. So if I'm talking with someone who really needs my service or my product, but truly can't afford it, programs and structures that they would be able to fill out an application for a scholarship. So I don't see those things as objections. I see them as really valuable and important information about that person's life. Because I don't want someone to financially strain themselves trying to feel better. That's not going to help them. So I need to know if it's out of their budget. That's important in caring for the wholeness of their life.
Right, exactly.
Awesome. By the way, Sheva, John is Katrina's husband.
Ah.
And I know them almost as long as I know you.
Nice.
And of course, they're map makers also. So
beautiful.
And
nice
they're
to meet you.
Wonderful and remarkable friends. Carol DeFrancisco has a question for you, and she's a wonderful healer, and I know her for probably 31, 32 years. She's from the original company, but she's in her way a wonderful healer and coach. Carol, are you on the line to talk to Sheva? Have you unmuted yourself, Carol? Katrina, is there a way you can help Carol unmute herself?
Hi there, guys. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yeah, we can hear you, Carol.
Yay. Hi, Sheva.
Hey.
So I've been using the Quick Coherence process, and I've taken some of the classes from you, actually.
Oh, wow.
And used them in my practice for many years. And actually was using a heart-based breathing before I even knew about HeartMath. So what I would like to know from you, with your invaluable experience and wisdom, is in terms of maintaining heart coherence, you know, I know this is a big ask, but you know, every day, all the time, besides doing the quick coherence process, what else can I do to be there and stay there?
Great question. And no, it's definitely not every day, all the time. That's why I have these very well developed muscles here. It's so we talk a lot in HeartMath about increasing the ratios, not about perfection. And one of the ways that you can increase the ratios is the heart lock-in technique. So that technique is very much like, you know, if you go to the gym and you work out, your muscles get stronger. It makes it easier to carry your groceries in from store. So taking 5 to 10 minutes, or I try to do 30 to 45 minutes a day, just really radiating those heartfelt feelings. And this is a great thing to do if you have a company like LifeWave, because in that time, you could use that time to send love to all the people who purchase your product and represent your product. So you're potentizing their hearts, but you're also stabilizing your own physiology in a state of coherence. And as I mentioned earlier, HeartMath has a biofeedback technology that I personally have found really useful to use during that time to make sure I'm locked in and not locked out. Not head in parking, not just sitting there ruminating about my day, but really getting that real-time feedback. And that's called the inner balance, or for iPhone, or I actually have mine right here. I was doing it right before. I can show you quickly what it looks like. But it's called MWAVE for the computer. And so interesting, it's very congruent with LifeWave, but this is what that monitoring system looks like. So this was my heart rhythm when I was sending you all love early this morning. And that can just kind of set the tone for your day. There are actually 40 different HeartMath skills. So we have skills specific for things like what Dave was asking about, for healing deep historic and even ancestral trauma, all the way to skills we're using in ICU units, handling COVID. But my experience, to answer your question, Carol, is having the tech. I came to this work with post-traumatic stress myself from living in a war zone. And having the mirroring was incredibly helpful for stabilizing in that optimal heart coherence state more often. And if, Francis, if any of your community wants that technology, I can certainly arrange it at a
No problem. No problem. Yeah, give them your website, Sheva, and you know, whatever else you want to give them, and
well,
you're all welcome
sure
to take advantage.
Yeah, just make sure you tell us you came from Francis's group, because we'll be able to give you the tech at our cost.
Yeah. No, I think this is very valuable, because I would like our team to follow the kind of leadership that you offer, and I'd like our team to be focused on healing and loving and being that benevolent disruptor, somebody who disrupts through love.
Thank you, Francis. And if there's enough interest, you know, we could certainly arrange, you know, if your team lights up about this content, we could arrange some way for this whole team to go through all the HeartMath classes together as a community.
Yeah, well, we have some pretty big leaders on the line that are in my upline. And I think that maybe we can do a very big Zoom call or something one day with several thousand people. And, you know, that person would work something out with you to make sure it's worth your time. So,
well, and believe, like I said, I'm not worried about that. But if this content is like really grabbing people's hearts and you want to learn all 40 tools, those courses are pre-recorded online, so we can find a way, Francis, to make them accessible to your team too. I'm really open to being creative together, because
absolutely,
I feel like all these all these things that all of us are doing are really opportunities to create a heart-based world together. That's the real magic going on behind.
I happen to agree with you, Sheva, and I happen to think that the X39 patch is very, very compatible with HeartMath. I mean, the X39 patch does things that we can't even say it does. We're just not able to say it. But it's, you know, photo light therapy absolutely strips down a lot of the old emotional blocks and has incredible impact on people. So yeah, we can talk about all that stuff offline, and that would be great.
Yes,
and,
yes, please. I'm very excited to learn more. And actually, there is a member of my Heart Ambassador community here, Marilyn King, who's a 3-time champion. And Marilyn had already put in the chat that she agrees with you that HeartMath and Lifewave are a great combo. Marilyn, I'm wondering if you want to share your voice. So Dave, Marilyn has a miracle story because she made her 3rd Olympic team with a major injury, unable to practice for an entire year, just visualizing her practice.
Sheva, I'm really sorry. You'd have to repeat your question. I stepped just a little bit away for the first part of your question.
Well, Francis was just saying that he thought Lifewave and Heart Ambassadors and HeartMath are a good marriage, and I had said you put that in the chat too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what I love about the HeartMath is that for me, it's about honoring where I'm coming from. For those of us who really do care and are looking for ways to bring our gifts and the gifts that we know of into the world. And I'm very much a head figure it out kind of person. So the years of being in the HeartMath and Heart Ambassador community have been just so life affirming for me. And so then I met Robin Blank many, many years ago, and her introducing me to Lifewave and X39. It's like for me, body, mind, spirit stuff. Everything that I teach is about what happens when you align those 3 things. So to have these organizations reinforcing one another, and for you to speak so eloquently to something that I'm challenged with, which is about, you know, selling, and you got to learn how to close and all that kind of stuff. It's just way too icky for me. I can't do that.
Well, it happens automatically, good sir. It happens automatically when you do what Sheva says, and I do similar stuff. I let people sell themselves. I let people ask me about the product. I let people ask me about how to buy it. So
anyway, just thank you, Sheva, for opening up there and speaking eloquently to how these weave together and come from this common place.
Thank you.
Thank you.